Hi, I'm Matt, here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Today, Matt and I have a new movie to look at for you. It's Venom, Let There Be Carnage. It stars Tom Hardy, Woody Harrelson, Michelle Williams, and Naomi Harris. It's directed by Andy Serkis, whose other directing credits are kind of thin, but you might know him from Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle. But who are we kidding? He's most well known for his motion capture acting abilities in parts like Gollum for Lord of the Rings and Caesar in the remake of the Planet of the Apes series. But before we get too far into this new movie review, make sure if you like it, you give it a like. Those likes are super helpful. If you want to see more of our stuff, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to be notified when we post, ring the bell icon.
Now, Venom Let There Be Carnage is a sequel to the movie Venom, which is based on the comic book character of the same name. In this film, Eddie Brock tries to reignite his journalism career by interviewing serial killer Cletus Cassidy. But one of their meetings leads to Cassidy becoming the host of an alien symbiote spawn of Venom known as Carnage. Venom has a $110 million budget. So far, it has received mixed reviews from critics, but average to favorable reviews from audiences. But if the first Venom movie is any indication, bad reviews will not stop people from going to see this film and having lots of money going into Sony. So, Randall, what did you think of Venom Let There Be Carnage?
Okay, despite individually great performances from Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson, emphasis on individually, the movie's kind of a mixed bag for me. I felt that the main plot wasn't given as much screen time as it really deserved, and instead we spent a lot of time on subplots. One of the subplots I really enjoyed, like I thought the whole thing with Eddie and Venom symbiote having kind of a falling out was fun to watch, and the interactions with Venom and Michelle Williams characters also really fun to watch. But the other two like primary subplots I just felt got in the way of the movie really shining as good as it could have, and that was distracting to me. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on Venom? Let There Be Carnage.
So, I think this movie is messy, just like a lot of the characters are. I just think that, like you're saying about these different storylines and stuff too, it's almost like we have like one flow going on a story and it's kind of going at a decent pace. And then all of a sudden the movie decides, all right, we need to get from the point that we're at now to another point. So let's go really quickly through a whole bunch of stuff to get to that next point because we need stuff to happen so that we can go to this next piece kind of thing. That's kind of how I felt with this movie, but really the big thing about this movie is, like the Eddie Brock Venom stuff. And if you were a fan of the first Venom movie and you like kind of like the banter between Eddie and Venom, then I think you're going to enjoy this film. But for me, I was hoping for a little bit more than what we got.
I was very disappointed by all of the subplots distracting from the main plot. So the new addition, the biggest new addition to the cast is Naomi Harris's character, and she has some powers which are shown in the trailer, like some sort of sonic powers. Which anyone who knows symbiotes, I'm sure that's going to end up just great, probably, right? She's like Cassius's old love, old flame from back in the day, and she has her own subplot. As if that's not enough of a subplot, she has her own like buried subplot with like the police officer who like took her eye from her, who shot her across the head almost. And I'm like, oh my god, I just don't care about that. I felt that whole subplot with her and the cop and even just her character in general was such a waste of time, because I'm like, this movie doesn't spend enough time dealing with Venom and Carnage, the characters. There's things that we could have built from a lot better from the first movie than we did. Instead, we're like, no, we're gonna do new stuff, all new stuff. Primarily, just not enough of Venom and Carnage and or Woody Harrelson and Tom Hardy on screen together, really being the symbiotes. You don't get that until the very end.
Yep, I was going to hit on that point too, just like you said. A lot of people are building up for this, Let There Be Carnage. It's going to be this big show off between Venom and Carnage, like Reno mentioned. We don't get that till like the end of the movie. We don't see a whole lot of that. Now, we do see some things of them doing like, their own little thing. Like, Carnage has some of its, own like shows. And there's like one scene, I guess it's, pretty impressive, kind of showing Carnage a bit too. But, without giving it too much away, a lot of times like the Venom part, we don't really see a whole lot of like the Eddie Brock Venom until like the end of the movie when they're facing off against Carnage. And I was a little bit disappointed on that.
Yeah, that was pretty disappointing. But I'll tell you what wasn't disappointing is the action. When you do get it, it may be over the top, okay? But I think it's over the top completely on purpose. So, mission accomplished from a filmmaking perspective. They wanted every bit of action in this film to be ridiculous, and they did that. So when you do get, the Carnage scenes and you do get the Venom versus Carnage fight, it really goes like, this one goes up to 11 basically. That was fun. The action was good, even if I almost want to say there wasn't enough of it, but I at the same time, bravo, please don't take that as like put action everywhere. That's a slippery slope to go through, Like usually you're complaining there's too much action, but I almost think that we just didn't get that, that first fight between them, and then they have to like go back and recuperate, the normal, superhero storyline, or the Avengers Ultron where they face him and they fail and then they face him again. You didn't really get that. So maybe that's what was missing for me, is that formula. But the action is really cool when it's happening.
Yeah, other aspect of this movie, I think it tries to, at least, I don't know, from my opinion, it tries to get quite a bit of comedy in this, but for me the comedy was a little bit hit or miss. Like some of them I was, like chuckling and stuff, and other times it just kind of, was like not really hitting for me.
I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Please let me fix it. How about it? So I can bring it again.
But part of that is just me too, because I'll say other people in the theater that are into that type of humor, they were chuckling quite a bit. It just, for me, I didn't quite enjoy it. To me, it was just kind of like, okay, whatever, you can have that or whatever. But for me, I was just like, nah, nah.
I thought the chicken jokes were fun. I thought that was good. No, they're friends. I'm not going to eat them.
One thing that was interesting about this movie is I thought there was going to be some like storylines that we actually come back to later. Like different things happen with like Venom that I thought was actually going to come up more to like the end of the movie, but doesn't really. Then that's not the only thing. There's a couple things I think that were kind of like seem like, all right, this probably is going to play a factor in the end of the movie. This is probably going to play a factor in the end of the movie. And really, it just turned out to be, no, it was just a quick mention in the film just for like that part and doesn't really turn into anything at all. So that is another thing I was a little bit disappointed about with this film.
Well, if that's all your disappointment, that's not so bad. Filmmakers been doing that for years. Not looking at any particular filmmakers. Change it! Ultimately, I had a friend of mine who was like, hey, let me know how it is, because it looks pretty cool. And I got out of the theater and I was just like, you know what? It's just okay. I didn't fall in love with it. The comedy aspects for me seems like they're trying to compete almost, or make themselves more applicable to the other, Marvel properties that are properly in the MCU, and they don't necessarily hit. The action's okay, but there might not be enough of it. And chiefly among it is just, why didn't you spend more time, invest more time in your main characters and the plot of the main characters, basically? Like you said, like some of the storylines, I don't even understand how Carnage came into be, really. It's not explained. It's just there. They just leave those untold, basically. It's like, oh yeah, he bit him again. That's in the trailer, so it's not like anything great, but like kind of underwhelming. That's my point.
Yeah, for me, I think the dialogue is okay. The story isn't all that great. Like Reynolds was saying, the action is pretty good, and there are entertaining moments and stuff in this, but I don't know that this movie is really all that memorable. I don't know that I'm really gonna remember much about this movie, going forward in, I would say a couple years or whatever. I'm probably gonna blank it out of my mind a bit. But I will say, if you are planning on seeing Venom Let There Be Carnage, be sure to watch it pretty soon because there is a mid-credit scene that I'm sure is gonna get spoiled all over the internet pretty soon if it hasn't been spoiled for you already. And generally I think, like, hey, if you watch Venom and like Venom, then you'll probably, I mean the movie, the first movie, then you'll probably like this one. If you weren't a big fan of the first Venom movie, then you can probably skip this one. At least that's my opinion on what the movie is. If I got that wrong, or if Randall and I are totally off on that, let us know in the comments below. We want to hear from you. What do you guys think about Venom Let There Be Carnage? Also, be sure to go to our YouTube page. We have lots of other reviews, new movie reviews, flashback movie reviews. We also take a look at TV series. We also have deeper dive discussions.
Don't forget to go check us out over on the Facebook. We post there the day before what's coming up next on YouTube. We also post some things from other fandoms every once in a while. If you don't want to check us out on Facebook, okay, fine, I get it. Just put us on your schedules. We post new videos every Monday and Thursday. For now, I'm Randall here in Texas. See everyone next time.
And I'm Matt here in Michigan. Have a good day, everyone. Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.